What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with the MLB Power Rankings for Week 21. As always, I'll be breaking down all 30 teams and where they rank heading into the last stretch of the season. But before I get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to be entered into our giveaway at 500 subscribers. First, I'll start with the hitters of the week, and Julio Rodriguez and Christian Walker are those two guys. Rodriguez had an excellent week, hitting over 500, almost 600 on the week. And I think it was 12 hits in 3 games, 19 hits in I think the last 7 games it was. And he had 13 RBIs, 6 stolen bases as well. And he had a very successful week and that led the Mariners to a good week as well. Where he had Christian Walker, had 4 home runs. He had those 4 home runs came in 3 games against Colorado in Colorado with 11 RBIs. And he really stood out to me as one of the best hitters this week. The dogs of the week are none other those Mariners. Mariners went 6-1 last week, beat Kansas City 3-1 and lost on Monday. And then they came out and swept Houston in Houston to get right there with them for the AL East or AL West, spot for second place, as they're only a half game back there. And they have a half game lead over Toronto in the last wild card spot. So this team has a 6-game winning streak heading into this week. They got 3 on the road against the White Sox and the Royals. And can they keep that up? 2 not very good teams. You could look at a team that's going to skyrocket and get hot at the right time. I think the Mariners are looking like that team. Then the duds of the week are none other than the New York Yankees. Got swept in both series 3-0 to the Braves and Red Sox. They're currently on an 8-game losing streak. And 12 runs is what they scored in those 6 games last week. So averaging 2 runs a game, that's not going to get it done. They gave up 40 runs, and that's not good. Over six and a half almost games. They're averaging runs given up, and this team does not look like they are going to compete at all. They're 9 games back in the last wild card spot. This could be the first time since the early 90s they've finished last in the AL East and below 500. Looking that way, Boone or Cashman might be out after this year. It should be Cashman, not Boone. I think Boone's just taking the blame for it right now, even though he has had questionable decisions, yes. But Cashman is the one that's put this roster together, and it has gone nowhere. The biggest movers for this week are some surprising teams. Obviously, you have to have the Yankees on there after their fall, but the Astros as well moving down. And the Diamondbacks, Tigers, and Mets are some teams that are moving up 30 through 21. And of course, you have Oakland and Kansas City at the bottom. They're very bad, and they will stay there more than likely the rest of the year. White Sox and Rockies are the middle tier where they're not the total bottom, but they're going to be no higher than 27 at the end of the year. And then you have the Pirates moving down 3 after their 2-4 week. Cardinals stay put. Mets up 2 because they went 5-2 last week. Then the 2 AL Central teams, Tigers and Guardians. And I'm moving those Tigers up over the Guardians because, well, the Tigers took it to the Guardians, won 3 of 4 in Cleveland last week. So that earns a move up in the standings. And even those Nationals are playing some good baseball lately, going 4-2 last week. 20 through 11. Now, this is where things get interesting. At 20, I have the Yankees in last. In 20, going 0-6, the 8-game losing streak. What else do I need to say? The Angels, it looks like they are a failure at the deadline, bringing in some guys, and it did not work. They're 8.5 back for that last wild card spot, so they're more than likely out of it. The Padres moving up too, even after a losing week, just because of those 2 teams struggling. Marlins swap with the Twins after they struggle, go 2-4. They're still in the race. Twins are pulling ahead in the AL Central. They are, I believe, 7 games ahead of the Guardians and 7.5 against the Tigers. So more than likely, they just got to play 500 baseball from here on out, and they're going to make the playoffs. The Reds moved down 1 after a 2-3 week. Tough week for them as they're starting to fall back down to earth after their last month and a half of dominating. And then those Diamondbacks, what I mentioned earlier, going 5-2, sweeping in the weekend, and really taking it to Colorado as well last week. They moved up in the NL West, moved in the standings as well, and they're right there knocking on the NL West door from those Giants. And the Giants in front of them going 2-4, and it struggles show. And the Cubs, I think if you want to talk about a team that is on the outside looking in for the playoffs, it's the Cubs. They played some really good baseball the last 2 weeks, and then mediocre this week, but they played Detroit the first series of the week. So if they want to get back on track, they're going to have to take 2 or 3 in Detroit. And then I have the Red Sox just missing the top 10, ranking 11 after taking it to the Yankees in New York last week. Now we have 10 through 1. And of course, the top 3 don't change, but after that, it's kind of a toss up. Phillies and Brewers swap just because of how they played last week. Astros are moving down 3 because they got swept against the Mariners, who are moving up to 7. Blue Jays are also moving up because of the Astros' faults. The Rangers had a bad week, going 2-4, so they're moving back down to 5, holding on to the last spot in the top 5. And then the Rays are jumping their way back into the top 5, and it feels like a few weeks because they've kind of coasted, but they went 4-2 this week, played some good baseball to get back into it. The Wander Franco situation, still don't know what's going on there, but it's not looking good for him. And then I'll finally talk about the top 3, Dodgers, O's, and the Braves. These 3 teams have been the powerhouse teams so far this year. I mean, you maybe even throw the Rays and the Rangers in there just because they're record-wise, but the top 3 have been the most consistent teams all year, and even the Dodgers started out slow, but have really picked it up as of late, like they always do. They're the team to beat right now. How can you not? And then the O's are the surprise. I just think, do they have enough pitching to get them to the postseason and through the postseason? That's going to be the biggest question mark. Lots of young guys that they're bringing up, and they do have Bradish. Can Flaherty still keep pitching how he's pitching since he has been acquired from the deadline? So that's the biggest question for them. But all of that top 3 are your World Series contenders right now, and I really couldn't see anyone else I'd want to pick other than the Rangers just because of how good their lineup is. But that's going to be it for this week's video. Make sure you guys come back later this week as I'll be dropping the top 25 for college football picks, and conference predictions as well. So make sure you guys come back, have those notifications on to see when we post. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.